Welcome back to First Take. The other day we discussed these comments from KD on other countries catching up to Team USA. And he said, quote, "I just don't like the talk around the USA versus European style of how you approach the game. All I hear is AAU is destroying the game. The Euros do it right while the Americans do it wrong." It's a lot of bull, fill in the blank with that. I can read between the lines on that. It's a shot at Black Americans. We're controlling the sport. They're tired of us controlling the sport. France is coming for you, really? We smacked them boys, end quote. So, Jay, the other day, Stephen A. agreed with Kevin Durant and what he had to say. And now I ask you, how do you feel about what his thoughts are?
So, Esther, I've been waiting because I was gonna jump on KD the other day.
Sure.
And then I got a chance to watch Straight Shooter on your show, which is a great show, by the way. Great show, elite show.
Thank you.
And I heard you pontificate on it. And I have to firmly push back. And there are some things more so in the KD part that kind of got to me early because I felt like we were having different arguments, right? The first argument was about AAU basketball, which is a completely different argument than the Black American thing. I think whenever you bring race into something like this, it hijacks the conversation and takes away from the initial point, right? So to me, frankly, it felt like a little bit like a racist victimhood mentality, frankly, and it concerned me a tad, right? Because I think critiquing a development system is not critiquing a race. And we're talking about development systems for Americans. Mm-hmm. It's so AAU, which has been monopolized by shoe companies and by handlers and by, institutions that try to make it where it extracts value. And I get that predominantly players in the NBA are African American, but there are also a lot of players in the NBA and around the country that are Caucasian and involved in the same developmental structure, right, of AAU basketball, compared to the likes of overseas where it's more institutionalized, where there's more structure, there's more focus on the basic fundamentals of the game. Now, the thing that really bothered me ultimately about the comment is that we've heard American players talk about this for the longest time. Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, 2015, Kobe Bryant literally said European players are taught how to play the game the right way. They grow up learning fundamentals, spacing, footwork, and how to read the floor. In the U.S., we teach athleticism first. Over there, they teach skill and IQ first. Now, to me, Kobe never framed this as a racial or predominantly black thing. He framed this as, or he never said European players were better. He was just saying the way they developed was different. And I felt like when KD sometimes goes off on these rants, it doesn't mean that he's fully wrong. Polarize a statement to a country where we're all in the middle of Black History Month, like Morgan Freeman always has said. And like, Black history should never be minimized to a month. It should be American history. And that's why I wanted to come on TV and say to you.
Well, first of all, I disagree with you on a couple of points, and I'll get into that for a second. But first order of business, that you're my brother and you're a highly intelligent brother, and you make sense every time you open your mouth. So listen, we ain't nothing to be offended by. If you disagree with me, I'm gonna win either way, because either I'm gonna be right, or I'm gonna be right, or I'm gonna be educated. I'm gonna be right, or I'm gonna get educated. So I'm not losing either way. So we're good. So let's get that out the way first.
Always.
Secondly, let me say the thing that I think you're missing. I don't think it's appropriate to call KD reckless with this comment, and I think that it's important to point out that while you talk about victimhood when it comes to racism, right? Mm-hmm. There is a history that shows Black people have been victimized by racism. Yes. Not in every single case, not always or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is that's a reality. So when people sit up there and say, oh, you're coming across as a victim, well, damn it, that's because Black folks have been victims of that. And we live in a society, particularly in this day and age, where people would like to erase that reality. It doesn't get erased. It's a part of history. Just like any other group of people have their history, you can't go to the Jewish community and tell them to forget the Holocaust. You can't tell them to forget stuff that they've endured and they experienced and they suffered from, and the iniquities that they were exposed to and they had to endure. Don't come to Black people with that. So let's get that out the way. To get to Kevin Durant specifically, Kevin Durant, with all of those superlatives and whatever, Jay, he was talking about the narrative. He wasn't refuting what Kobe had highlighted in terms of European basketball and what they focused on compared to what was transpiring in America and what have you. In my estimation, he was pointing to the narrative. That, if you remember, just weeks earlier, he had talked about, he brought up Luka Doncic, and he brought up Nikola Jokic. And he said, y'all get on us all the time about our lack of effort for All-Star Weekend. You never bring them up. Have you seen them play in All-Star Weekend? They don't care at all. Nobody had thought about that. We were saying NBA All-Stars, but we were really looking at the LeBrons and KDs and other people. So as a person that has won championships, that has won MVPs, that has won scoring titles, that's a 4-time Olympic gold medalist, he is sitting there with intimate experiences of dealing with the narratives that are thrown in his direction and that of his contemporaries. And he is compartmentalizing. Yo, this is what we're experiencing. When y'all ask these questions, y'all come to us. You're not coming to the other all-stars who are lackadaisical on the court, who haven't put forth that much effort. I'm just saying that when he pointed to the narrative, I thought that he made a very salient point, because it was true, and it is true, that when we talk about players, we're usually talking about them. And that's a fact.
But why is it black Americans? Well, because it's like, it turns into a battle between Kevin Durant and Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, when obviously, like, because there's Wemby.
I thought I just answered that. I thought I just answered. He's saying that when y'all come with this cynicism and this skepticism, it is aimed at the black American players. That's what he's saying. Y'all are coming at us with it. You ain't coming at the others. You look at cats from Europe, whether it's Jokic or Luka or it's Wembanyama today, it's Embiid, it's anybody. He said, you're looking at us differently. That's what he's pointing to. And I thought he had a point when he said that. I don't think that could be denied.
But in my opinion, he's looking at that comment. It's not about black Americans. It's about stylistic. It's about, and that's my point, Stephen A. I hear where you're trying to go with it. My point is, it felt like it was misconstrued. It's more about systems in place and how people felt those systems led to quality of players and the way the game was taught. It had nothing to do about race.
You're talking. Wait a minute. I agree with that, but you're talking about the validity of the subject matter that we're talking about. I'm saying, in his words, he was alluding to the narrative that has been created and how everybody is coming at players like himself and LeBron and black players from America, acting like they're responsible for bringing down the quality
best players
of play
in the world. Of course they're going to go at them. What, are they going to go at Tyler Hero? Like, what? Of course they're going to go at LeBron and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's the most skilled player in the history of the game. It's going to be a thing.
Hold on, time. One of the most skilled players in the history of the game who has never cheated the game. He's never cheated the game. The brother shows up. All he wants to do is hoop. Okay?
Great.
Load management with him. Taking his money for granted. He's not playing like somebody that's not a champion. He's pointing out, based on the narrative, and he said, I can read between the lines of what you're doing. This is how him and a lot of the players feel. You know them, and you know that's how they feel. Now, you can attack the veracity of their feelings or the legitimacy of their feelings, but there is no doubt that they feel that way. And a lot of times, us in the media, we're sitting back and we're like, hey, you know what? When we go and we ask them these questions, we're aiming it at them. When he pointed out Luka and Jokic, for example, when have they been asked those questions? That's what he was saying. And I think he's legitimate to that. By the way, as a producer that's been in our ear for 5 minutes telling us countdown, stop. Okay, we know. Okay, stop. All right? But that's it. All I'm saying is that's what he was talking about, the narrative. And I get it. I understand where he's coming from. In order to be fair, I do get where he's coming from with that.
I have so much more I want to say on this.
Well, maybe we can revisit this later on. Yeah, we could come back to it later on. All right, coming up here on First Take, JWill's going to stick around because speaking of Luka Doncic, we're going to talk about his play